sprouting, it's supposed to be 30%, there's supposed to be 30% more nutrients in it than the actual, for example, if you were using a broccoli seed and it was just beginning to sprout, then there's so much more nutrients in that. You can buy it, if you haven't got the time to actually be sprouting at home, you can buy a lot of sprouting stuff in alfalfa sprouts. You can get in Waitrose, and I know that they're just getting more and more popular in health shops in general, so you can actually buy them. But the thing with the bought ones is that you don't know how long they've been sat there, and sometimes they can go a little bit rancid, which isn't nice. So at least if you're doing them at home, you've got control, and you don't need anything fancy to do them. You can just get an old jam jar or a sauce bottle or whatever, just put your seeds in there. Empty the water the next day, and then they will start sprouting. It is quite simple, really, and really nutritious to have on your salads and things like that. Another really good way to detox your system, because that's what we're trying to do all the time, we're trying to remove toxins and replenish, is skin brushing. Skin brushing is just a really good way to get the lymphatic system moving. The lymphatic system doesn't have a pump like the heart, so we have to constantly move it ourselves. So something like massage is brilliant, husband, partner, whatever, just, massage is very alkalizing to the system, it's very good for you. And then if you haven't got time to exercise, maybe one day, a little rebounder, the trampolines? They're absolutely brilliant for jigging the whole body around. So if you've just got 5 minutes when you wake up and 5 minutes later on in the evening, get bouncing and your whole lymphatic system moves, which means the toxins can move, they can come out of the routes of elimination, and you're not building up acidity in the body. So essential to stimulate there. Moving and sweating is absolutely key, but a lot of us tend to focus, and I've been guilty of this myself in the past, you focus on one particular type of exercise. So mine was always cardiovascular and aerobic exercise, but actually doing that all the time and not doing stretching or yoga, that type of, you don't even have to go to a class, but just actually stretching out your muscles in the morning is so important, because again, you're opening the lymphatic system. So when you're detoxifying all the time, that's really, really important. And resistance training, weight training. For good bones, you need resistance training, and you need it at least 3 times a week. I'm not suggesting that you will start pulling massively heavy weights, but you do need to do, even if you just use your own body weight, or you just use a water bottle or something, but you need to do it all the time, or just balance on one leg for 5 minutes, or you just got to include that to get the really good bone density going on. So it's really important to include all 3 of those things. And another really important one is relaxation. It's something that probably most of us don't really do. Our relaxation might be flopping down in front of the TV. Does anybody do meditation here? Have you? I mean, yeah.
It's a discipline again.
It is a discipline, and it's finding time to do all these things, but finding a relaxation that suits you could be walking in the sunshine for 5 minutes, or it's just something about getting away from the hustle and bustle of everyday thinking so that you can clear your mind. And once you start to do that on a regular basis, even if it's just a couple of minutes in the morning and a couple in the evening, you can actually focus so much more. And maybe when you did meditation, you found that, because everything becomes much clearer, and you're much able to function in a more sort of orderly way. We talked earlier about how emotions affect your body, and emotions are so important. There's so many therapies out there at the moment. I work quite closely with a girl who does EFT, the Matrix EFT, and it basically cuts corners on counselling and all that kind of stuff. And if you've got any stuff that you're unhappy with, you need to sort out. I find for my clients it's a really good tool, because it's quick. Everybody wants a quick fix, and it is quite quick. Have you tried it? Because you know of it, yeah. Basically, it just gets to the core of your, it's almost like a bit of a acupuncture, but you do it yourself. It's tapping on certain points. And I have found it really works, especially if clients have blockages where they desperately want to get healthier and they just can't quite get over some sort of blockage. And that works really well. But find what works for you, because it is important for the whole alkalizing the system. Herbs are amazing. Herbs have been around forever. We need to know what they are, know their benefits. The herbs that I love to use because they're so beneficial are things like turmeric is absolutely brilliant, antifungal, antiviral. You could use it on absolutely everything that you cook, or whether it's raw, you can use it. And if you buy it in its raw form, it looks like a piece of ginger and grated on salads and stuff. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's anti-cancer. They've done studies with it. Indian culture don't get anywhere near so much bowel cancer as we do here in the UK because they've done studies on turmeric, and it's just so anti-cancer that it's actually, you know, they're not even manifesting it. Coriander is absolutely brilliant herb. Coriander acts as a bit of a Pac-Man, and it seems to be very good at absorbing toxins. So if you use coriander in your cooking or on your salads, it's very good at, again, removing toxins from the body. Garlic, I've just written an article on garlic this week. It is absolutely fantastic, the power of garlic. I know we don't all want to stink. Have it in the evening and then the odour's gone by the morning. But it's antifungal, it helps with yeast infections. It is anti-cancer. It's just absolutely brilliant to have every day, and raw is best. I know, and the thing is, you only need a little bit. So if you have it, even if you have it in your salad, so you make up a salad dressing with garlic, olive oil, and a bit of lemon, and then you've had your garlic. Parsley, everybody thinks vitamin C oranges. For a start, anything that's in a carton, as in fruit juice that's in a carton, has been pasteurized, so there is absolutely no nutrients left in it whatsoever. But eating oranges, you could have a sprig of parsley. There's more vitamin C in a sprig of parsley than there is in 10 oranges. So parsley is a really, really good immune booster to have in your cooking. Now, superfoods, I thought when I first started practicing, I don't really like vitamins and minerals that you buy off the shelf. Some of them have a purpose, but anything synthetic to me means the body has to struggle to utilize it. So sometimes it can be a waste of money, especially when I see a lot of people who come with their tube carrier bags. This is what I'm taking, and they're on about 30 vitamin pills a day, and they say, I feel lousy, because you're giving the body too much to do, and it's really not utilizing them at all. So I actually thought, right, I'm only going to use foods to help people, and that's it, and I'm not going to have anything. But actually, because the soil is depleted and a lot of our foods have to travel a long way to get here, the nutrient value is depleted. So I started using superfoods because they are a food. Our body utilizes them as a food, and they actually produce amazing results, and you don't need much of them. So my top 8 superfoods. Has anybody ever juiced or had a wheatgrass shot?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How did it make you feel?
I can't really remember at university, so it brings me from there to there.
Okay.
I remember having it, yeah.
Well, if you want to know how well your liver is functioning, have a shot of wheatgrass, and if you're sick, it means you need help. And if you're not, then you know that you're okay, you're on the right path. No, but seriously, wheatgrass is very potent, and it can make people sick. If you have a sluggish liver, or if you've got a lot of alkalizing to do, it can actually make you vomit. But it's a good thing because you know you've got work to do. But wheatgrass is so high in chlorophyll, it opens up every single cell in our body and re-oxygenizes it. And with oxygen in the cells, it's alkalized and we can't form disease. There's a lady called Anne Wigmore, I've got a book somewhere here, and if you ever read any of her work, if you want to be inspired about wheatgrass, she cured herself in the 1950s, and they thought she was complete nutter, through drinking wheatgrass. And she had cancer and she cured herself, and then she opened up all these wonderful places over the world, and they specialize in wheatgrass juicing and wheatgrass enemas and all this kind of thing. Basically, wheatgrass is the best alkalizing tool you can use. And if you had a shot or 2 of wheatgrass every day, you'd be really looking, when you're weighing on your stick, it's going to look a lot healthier. You can get wheatgrass if you don't want to grow it like this, and juice. If you don't have a juicer, you can buy wheatgrass frozen. So it's this wheatgrass here that's been juiced and immediately frozen. So you've got a lot of the goodness still, and it's quite an easy way of doing it. and then you just get out your little ice cube in the morning and you wait for it to melt and have your little shot. Or you can buy wheatgrass in this form, which is powder. I'd say you've got about 70% of the nutrients in this form, because obviously when it's like this, it's not going to have the nutrients of freshly grown wheatgrass, but it's still really beneficial to add to your smoothies, to increase your alkalinity and to detox the body continuously, which is what we need. So that's wheatgrass, and there's tons of stuff on the internet about wheatgrass. It is like a magic cure. Well, I get it from a place called Aikenberry, who I know where they source it and I really trust them as a company, and that's where I would advise my clients to get, and I can give you the information about that at the end. And they just deliver it to your door, so it's really convenient. E3 Live is another superfood. This is quite a new one that I've added in for my clients, but it's a blue, I've been using the green algae. This is a blue-green algae. And it is absolutely amazing. I know people that have taken it for 2 weeks and they're just absolutely like, woohoo, flying, because it purifies the blood and it actually heals the intestines. And the Chinese believe that the root of all disease is in the bowel. If the bowel is not functioning 100%, then you will manifest other disease because you can't eliminate. So the E3 Live actually puts all the good bacteria back in, and heals, increases your energy levels, alertness, and it strengthens the immune system like no other. So it is just really powerful stuff. Again, it comes frozen. I can't supply it because it needs to come frozen. It gets delivered to your door. But I have found this to be a very good energizer for everybody I've recommended it to, and also athletes if you're training for something in particular. Chlorella is a superfood that I've been using with my clients for about 3 years, and chlorella is an amazing strength builder. It's high in protein, so it actually, you don't get those hunger pangs. We were talking earlier about, you know, wanting to feel full. If you include chlorella in your daily diet, if you put it in your smoothies, or you can just have it in water, then it gives you so much protein. It makes you feel energized, strong, and it also gives you a really great, strong physique. Because it contains chlorella and spirulina, I'll come on to spirulina in a sec, between them contain the full spectrum of vitamins and minerals. Spirulina is particularly high in the B vitamins. B12 is something we in this country are completely deficient in, and that is the kind of start of Alzheimer's, dementia, the things we've been talking about. B12 deficiency is quite serious in this country at the moment. But together, the chlorella and the spirulina give you the full spectrum of alkalizing vitamins and minerals. And if you even do it for a week, again, you're going to look at a different, when you've peed on your stick, it's going to look different and you're going to feel different. You're going to feel more energized. Again, it opens up the cells and allows more oxygen into the blood. So that's your chlorella. And the spirulina, as you can see, is very high in all your B vitamins. It's going to make you feel happier. You know, we need B vitamins for our hormone functions and our enzyme functions. So both of those are really important. Bee pollen. I supply bee pollen, but you can get bee pollen absolutely anywhere now, which is fantastic. You can get it in most good health shops. Bee pollen is absolutely amazing to increase your stamina, your brain power, and your energy. Again, it's an immune booster, fantastic antioxidant, and it's something that you can use in small quantities on a daily basis. If you're doing something specific, you can use up to a tablespoon a day. And you will be buzzing until midnight if you do. But it's a natural buzz. It's not an adrenal, sort of over-adrenal stimulation. So it's a nice buzz. You can go to sleep. You know, it's not going to stimulate you in the way caffeine would. So bee pollen, you can take, I always recommend people to put it in their smoothies because it doesn't disintegrate. It's kind of waxy. So if you have it in water, it'll just sort of sink to the bottom and it's not very pleasant. So if you have it, or some kids, I know loads of kids that actually take this just off a spoon. Or you can sprinkle it on porridge or something like that in the morning because it's quite sweet. So it doesn't taste, you know, awful, but it's just the consistency of it is a little bit crunchy. so you wouldn't, and it doesn't dissolve. So I definitely think a smoothie is the best option to have because then it just sweetens it a little bit and you don't really know it's there.
Would you be allergic to it if you get hay fever and stuff?
Actually, it's a bit like homeopathy, where if you have allergies, that's actually a very good point. If you have any allergies at all, you start with a very small quantity. It will never cause an allergic reaction, but you may just get a little bit of itching, or just a little, I don't know, something which perhaps if you have hay fever, for example, if you walk through, the flowers or something, you might just get a little itchy skin or something. But in the long run, it actually counteracts that, and it will stop the hay fever because it builds the immune system, thins the blood, alkalizes you, and does all the right things. Because allergies are, when you have an allergy, it's about the blood being too thick. So asthma, hay fever, eczema, all those kind of things are all about the blood not being pure enough. And as soon as you purify the blood and give it enough water and all the other things we've been talking about, then the allergies disappear. Maca is another amazing strengthener, and I use this on a lot of people who come to me if they're if they've got marathons or whatever coming up. It is grown at the foothills in places like Peru. If you think about the sun and the sun's energy, the way that it's grown, it's very hardy, and it just sort of grows on these mountainous areas where not a lot of other things grow particularly. It's just the most amazing hormone balancer. If you've got any hormone issues, this is like a natural HRT. It improves your mood, it's a mind strengthener, and improves the sex drive. I try not to look at anyone when I say that. So it's an amazing superfood. Another one, this is really more for if you want to bulk up, and if you're using, a lot of people, I was horrified the other day. I went into a health food in town, and it used to sell loads of homeopathic pills and all sorts of things, and I walked in, it was just full of protein, muscle building shakes, full of chemicals, and I just went, what's going on? Because there was nothing else in there, or there was a few things at the back, and I was horrified. But if you want to bulk up, if you want to strengthen up, if you're working out, or you've got, something, a specific event coming up, then this is amazing and much better than any of the protein things you can buy, which have obviously got synthetic chemicals in. This is natural, it's raw vegan, sprouted whole grain protein, and it just naturally builds a perfect body, and your body knows what to do with it, so that's a very good supplement to have. Coconut water, as we were talking about, more electrolytes than leading sports drinks with 15 times the potassium. It just keeps the body really hydrated and prevents cramping, and it's good for anyone at any age to have just a little bit once a day. It's very, very nutritious. You can get that from any supermarket now. You used to only be able to get it from health shops, but you can get it from supermarkets. You can also buy it in little, like you can get the little apple juices and orange, you can buy it in that sort of size as well, just to chuck in your bag. After you've drunk it, it does give you a little bit of a buzz. It kind of makes you feel a bit energetic for a while, so that's really good. So foods which I would recommend every day, things like olives, obviously for the omega content, nuts and seeds that we've talked about being soaked. Coconut butter, coconut oil, when you fry anything, even if you use something as good as olive oil, the consistency, the chemical consistency changes when you heat oil. So it all becomes carcinogenic and it actually becomes really toxic. So the only oil that doesn't change its consistency is coconut oil. So it's the safest oil to cook with when you're cooking at high temperatures, and especially if you're cooking a roast dinner and you're putting anything on, the roast potatoes or chicken, coconut oil is best, and it tastes really lovely. It's the safest thing you can use. Obviously, eat plenty of greens in abundance. Goji berries are a fantastic way of getting your vitamin C in on the run. Things like mangoes, berries, seaweed such as nori, massive hit of iron, iodine, absolutely brilliant. I don't know if anybody likes sushi, but you can make really lovely vegetable wraps with nori, and it's a really nutritious snack. And the raw food energy bars, I'm really pleased to say that they are now in the supermarkets. So if you are on the run and you know you've got a really busy afternoon and you don't want that slump of energy that a lot of us get, and it might be a really good thing for you to have in your bag so you can have, instead of your cake, a raw energy bar will just keep you, you kind of feel like you just keep going like this. And you definitely don't get that energy slump. Because when you have something in the afternoon, a cup of tea and a biscuit, okay, you do then want to fall asleep afterwards, don't you? You kind of go, oh. But that...
What does it contain in a raw food energy bar?
It contains, they do a vegetable one or a fruit one, and it has nuts, dates in the fruit one, and berries and things like that, and the veggie one will have spirulina, chlorella, and other vegetables, and it just gives you a nice sort of lift of energy when you need it most. So it's good to have a few of those in your bag as and when you need them. So the results of a healthier lifestyle, I mean, it's probably quite obvious, but if you just tweak your diet and really think about the alkalizing foods that we've been talking about, and just include a few more salads, a bit more water, and you know, you will start feeling the difference almost immediately within days. So it'd be really interesting to see how you all get on. But the long-term effects are huge. Niggling aches and pains just disappear, body tone and shape just improves automatically, naturally. You get better sleep, your hair, your skin, everything just looks glowing. And the one thing, and it's really good that you mentioned it earlier, because I think the biggest thing that people feel when they change their diet and they give the body all the nutrients that it needs is that they just feel more joyous. They just feel like they've got more happiness in their life. And they just feel like life has a purpose. It sounds perhaps a bit dramatic, but it really, I've seen it so many times, and that's probably one of the most significant things that people say when they become really energetic and really, really well on a daily basis. And they can actually live life rather than sort of struggle, really, because my sort of catchphrase, if you like, on my website is life is for thriving, not just surviving, because we should all be loving everything we do. And when you're energized and really, really, you've got all your nutrients, then you feel life is much easier and much happier. So I hope that's filled in a few gaps. Is there anything that, have you got any questions or anything that anybody would like to ask that perhaps I haven't covered? Or
when you're making these juices and smoothies, are you having these in addition to your meals, or are you having them as meal replacements?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because food is a really funny thing. We all think that we need food for our fuel. Well, we sort of do, but the less you eat of the good stuff, I'm talking, it's almost like the less you need. So the thought to some people of having a smoothie for breakfast might not be enough. It might not fill you up enough. But eventually, when you're really, you're adding your superfoods and you're having everything you need, a smoothie will become enough for you to have for breakfast. So I would say in the beginning, if you're sort of transitioning and you might, say for example, have a smoothie for your breakfast, then you may feel hungry half an hour later and you could have a little bowl of porridge. But the idea is that your smoothie is giving you so much alkaline food that little bit of porridge, which is in the acidic chart, but it is actually quite nourishing, the smoothie will far outweigh the acid that the porridge would create. So I would definitely wake up and have a juice or a smoothie and fill it with your superfoods, and that will really keep you energetic for most of the morning. And then if you're having your salad before you're having something for lunch, if you wanted something cooked for lunch, or if you're grabbing a sandwich or something, the salad will probably, as I say, will make you eat less of that. And again, before your evening meal, so you could have a salad. You could have anything from, you could have nut seeds, you could have oil sprinkled over it, you could have your radishes, your salads, cucumbers, tomatoes, you could have actually your sprouted things like the alfalfa sprouts, they are quite filling. And you could have the seaweed, the nori, you could have wraps, so just, it's good to find replacements for bread. because bread is so acidic and so draining on the body of energy that anything as a replacement to bread. And I'm not talking sort of rye breads. You can buy sprouted breads, which are quite energizing, and you can buy them in health shops. So it's wheat, but it's sprouted wheat, which is completely different consistency of cooked wheat. And you can, as I say, you can have wraps and things like that, which would still fill you, and you still feel like you're getting that quantity, but what you're getting is much more alkalizing foods.
Some of the vegetables are a bit tough to eat, aren't they, raw?
Yeah.
Turnips and carrots and
No, it's a good point, it's a good point. Yeah, they are. I mean, you can...
Don't they?
Pardon?
And also, if you eat a lot of, what I find, if you eat a lot of raw foods, they give you indigestion though, really, because they are quite, like I said, so
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. The reason it would give you indigestion in the first place, and that's why if you're eating more raw, it's good to go the green leafy vegetable route first before you... Some people do eat turnips, but that's quite hard to digest. But a lot of vegetables like broccoli, green beans, asparagus, they are absolutely delicious eaten raw. But you can grate, you know, just if you'd make a coleslaw from scratch, you can chop up red cabbage, carrots, onions, and have that. And it's actually, when you eat more raw food, you tend to eat more, what do the Spanish do? Tapas. So you have little bits of everything, rather than a big plate of full, and then you pick at, because you can make such delicious recipes. I mean, there's tons of raw gourmet books which are amazing. So, but in the beginning, what you're saying, a lot of people experience when they eat raw, and the reason for this is because your enzymes are depleted, and it's actually disturbing all of that. So it's almost like you've got to go through that and eat the raw foods, the salads that actually disturb you less. So things like cucumbers, lettuce leaves, spinach, things like that, they'll be less taxing on the digestion, and they will create more enzymes. So eventually you will be able to tolerate much more raw food, and you'll really feel the energy from that as well. But it's a good question, because some people, I haven't done it myself, because the one thing I really do love cooked is sweet potato. Sweet potato is a much better alternative from a nutritional value to a white potato, but some people I know grate the sweet potato on the salad. But I think grated, obviously, because it's been grated, it's not going to be quite so hard to eat. But most vegetables you can absolutely eat raw, and they are more tasty. But as I say, I don't want you to go home thinking, oh, I've got to eat everything raw. But if you just include a bit of raw in your day, you'll notice the difference.
I've got a real sweet tooth as well. I know it's very sugary, but honey, is honey good for you?
Yeah, honey's okay in small quantities, because again, it's sugar. If you've got no sugar issues and you're perfectly healthy, then honey is fine. Coconut nectar syrup is absolutely brilliant, because it doesn't alter your blood sugar level at all. So that's a really good alternative. There was a big craze for agave syrup for a while, but actually they have now found that it causes slumps and highs and lows of blood sugar levels. So, but honey and, yeah, in its natural form, if you've got it local, it's absolutely fine.
And if you do want a dessert or something, then what sort of things should you be eating?
Yeah, I mean, you can. I would say don't be too hard on yourself. If you're really alkalizing and you're having loads of alkalizing foods in your main meals, and you still fancy a little bit of chocolate, you can buy raw chocolate, or you still fancy a pudding, you can make raw puddings. If you go into the whole raw gourmet thing, they're absolutely delicious. Mango pies and all sorts of things made out of nuts and dates and mangoes, and they taste absolutely delicious. But if you want whatever it is you would have for pudding, and you've been alkalizing all day, then it's not going to harm you. And again, you're looking at your plate can be anything, but your pudding could be your 30% of your acidic, and then your 70% has been all your alkalizing foods. But it's just really, you alkalize, the less your body will crave those foods. And it really does work, because the more you are, the more your body is satisfied nutritionally. Cravings are all about you wanting salt because you're lacking, or you wanting sugar because you're lacking, or you wanting energy because you're lacking. So that's what cravings are all about. So when your body is fully taken care of nutritionally, then your cravings become less.
So is there any sort of book or anything you can recommend sort of starters off on what you should be eating all day long? Because I can't imagine just be eating, you must have to be eating some proper food, you know.
Some
proper food amongst all this stuff. You can't be having, you know, smoothies and juices.
Yes, oh yeah, absolutely.
Through the day.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, yes, you should, and that's how you'll...
May I ask you then, you know, in an average day,
Yeah.
just quickly run through what you personally would
Yeah.
have as your meals? And so you've got 2 children as well.
Yeah, I know, and it is, and my husband's just walked in, so he can vouch for me, because he's on it as well now, but...
Just tell us quickly what you'd have in an average, what have you had today, for example?
Okay, I would wake up and I'll have lemon in water, so I'll have hot lemon in water, and then about half an hour later, after I've done the children's lunch boxes and all of that, I'll have a wheatgrass shot, a fresh wheatgrass shot, and so will Leo. And then after that, I will have, I'll do that in my smoothie, in my juicer, sorry, and then I'll have about half an hour later another juice. So I'll have cucumber, celery, and lemon juice. And actually after that, I mean, and again, everybody's different because whatever your life time-wise might be different. I mean, I'm really lucky because some days I work at home.
Yeah, sure.
But if I go after my juice, because I always thought in exercise that you should eat and then go for a run, or eat and then do your aerobics or whatever, because you needed that to keep you going. But actually, it's the goodness in the juice. And I now walk out the house having had nothing to eat but just 2 juices, and I go and do like a 6-mile run or a hour aerobics or whatever, and feel completely energized still afterwards. And then I'll go home, and after I've exercised, I'll have a smoothie, and that will take me right through till lunch, and I'm not hungry at all. And I'll have, in my smoothie, I'll have the protein powders that I was talking about, and I'll have the green chlorella and the spirulina and a bit of bee pollen. And then I'll have for lunch, if I go out, because we talked about lunch, didn't we, going out a lot,
Yeah.
it can be a bit of a nightmare. And so when I go out, I tend to choose a salad or if I feel like I want something heavier, because I've had my smoothie and my juice, I'll have something. And if I know it's a bit more acidic, then I'll counteract it in the evening. Or vice versa, if I know I'm going out in the evening, I'll make sure I have a really good alkalizing lunch. On the days if I'm out and about, or if I'm, you know, seeing people, clients outside of that, and I'm not at home, the key to really staying alkalized is being organized, and I'll either take something with me that I can eat in the car, or like tonight, I mean, I've been here since 4 o'clock, and in my bottle here, I made a smoothie so that I could sort of, you know, that would be like my meal, and I will go home and eat something now, like a sweet potato or something, cooked sweet potato. But I would have, yeah, the thing is, when you're, all of these things have high protein, and that's the thing we need to get our head around, because people think that they need to get their protein, their bulk. I mean, I am naturally quite a tiny person. My husband, Leo, is not, and he survives. He survives without meat and on vegetables. So you don't need, I mean, I've got a book here which I absolutely love, and you can see I've dropped it in the bath, I've read it to death, and it is a raw power book, and it's about the energy. It's a guy who is a bodybuilder who switched from a meat diet, meat and rice, because people he knew were dying of heart attacks because it was too much for the body to train and to eat meat, so that everything about his lifestyle was acidic, because when you overtrain as well, it can acidify the body. So he decided, and food, and that's how you cook it. And he just says, oh, that's fine, if that's what you want to do, try it, go set fire to your house and see how toxic it becomes. And I just thought, actually, it's quite a good analogy, because anything smoked or barbecued that goes black, or how can it possibly have anything good for us in it? It's just, you know, and when you start thinking of things like that, so I know exactly what you're saying because I've been there and I thought exactly the same way.
So are you a vegetarian? Are you a vegan?
I am now,
Yeah.
yes. And it's purely because it's not necessarily, you know, for anything other than I just feel much more energetic when I eat like this.
Are your children vegan as well?
No, no, because they, when I first got, you know, they haven't been into this all their lives, but they eat a lot of raw, and they do, that's the main part of their diet, but they do still eat meat, and they do still eat, they eat sweets, they're normal. I don't, you know, it's going to be their choice. They'll have the knowledge to know, you know, hopefully to make their own choices when they're older. But if they, you know, my daughter, for example, doesn't really ever touch red meat. She'll occasionally eat chicken. That's her choice. My son would live on steak his whole life. He loves it, doesn't he? But, you know, so I don't want to put my beliefs, but I only know from my point of view that my energy has gone through the roof since eating like this. And other people that I treat and who are not vegan and they still eat meat, but they choose to eat more alkalizing foods, have stabilized their weight, have stabilized digestive issues, have corrected illnesses, and are feeling much more energetic and lively. And that's the reason I like doing seminars, because it's just good to know. And even if the seed is only planted tonight and you do nothing about it for another year, it's still there. When you start eating certain foods, you will think, is that alkaline? Is that acid? What's it doing? You know, and it's just good to know. And I wish I had known this stuff 20 years ago.
And you must lose weight on it, surely, as well.
Well, I had a conversation, I had some guys in here to the seminar earlier, and they were both saying that they'd struggled to maintain weight, which can actually be just as difficult as to lose weight. So we were sort of talking about things, but actually you will only lose weight initially so your body can regulate. When you start on it, you probably will be detoxifying it depends how hard you go at it. If you just introduce a few more veggies or whatever, you won't even feel it. But you will lose a little bit of weight, and then once your body starts, we were talking about this balancing of the body that it does, and you will come to a balance where you're at your natural weight, which is why when you alkalize, you cannot fail but to become your natural weight. So the cellulite disappears, you know, just the feeling of sluggishness disappears because your body's just going into balance and it just ends up correcting itself. So yes, initially you might, but then some people find that they actually gain weight once they're alkalized because they're naturally supposed to be a little bit heavier. So it works both ways.
You mentioned having lemon.
Yeah.
But isn't that acidic?
A lemon is acidic. If you were to test lemon outside the body, yes. But once it hits the body, it is very alkalizing to the system. So lemons and limes should be added to everything because it's just brilliant. And eventually, like you're saying, if there's any acid reflux or anything like that, the more alkalizing you eat, that will just diminish once your digestive system gets used to the foods that you're eating. But I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that you all go, you know, home and 100% raw or anything. Just little changes make big differences, and then you'll find your own way of looking into it more. And if it's something that you feel better on or you like, then you know, you sort of explore it more. And if anybody has any issues that you want to bring up, then please, I've got some information for you here. Feel free to email me. I will be seeing clients here possibly on Mondays, a couple of times a month. I've got clinics elsewhere in Chichester and all around, so if anybody would like a private consultation, then that's what I do. But if I give you one of these, and there's some pH sticks there if anyone wants to go pee on a stick. Or if you want to buy some of your own, it's a really good way to gauge at home how you are, really. There you go. But I hope that sort of answered. Oh, the combining thing as well. It's really good if you have vegetables or salad with just protein, or vegetables and salad with just carbs. And if you have that sort of slight stomachy issue, it will calm it down. So trying to keep carbs and proteins to separate meals. Yeah. Sorry, I can't separate these. There you go. Can you give out the other ones for me? It's just these three. There you go. But yeah, feel free to come and look at these alkalizing books. I write for a company called Energize for Life, and so I'm selling their books, and they are quite expensive. I don't make a penny on these, but be good for you to have a little flick through, because they are really good ideas for alkalizing recipes. And just to sort of show you how different you can make the meals.
Thank you.
Don't have a look. Sorry. Because it is quite interesting when you start looking at food differently, what lovely things you can make.
What if you're just not that into veg and stuff like that?
Well, I think sometimes with veg, it's because it can be a bit dull, isn't it? Is that because, you know, but...
I suppose because I've never really been into it, so therefore you don't, you know, go and buy loads of it, do you?
Yes.
Experiment and that kind of thing.
It's experimenting, I think.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes, I mean, you can download a million recipes, you know, online, but also books like this, or, you know, other things can be quite inspirational, because it's about flavour. You don't want to take the flavour away from food, or the enjoyment. You don't want to be dreading your meals, because, you know, that would be probably just as acidifying. But it's just knowing what to do, how to make sauces, you know, how to make things really interesting. And also to take, for example, they do things in there like lasagna, but they do it in an alkalizing way. And, you know, they'll just sort of show you how it just gives you other ideas, which you can feel like you're eating your normal, regular food, but actually you're eating, you know, in a much healthier way. What's that? Yeah, on the way out. That's right, it can be the Last Supper. Tomorrow.
So things like hummus and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Is that all right?
fine, yep. Yep, absolutely. I mean, you can make your own hummus as well if you wanted to. Again, from sprouted chickpeas, if you want to be really super healthy. They're so easy, you just soak them overnight and they're ready the next day. And then you just whiz them up in a blender and add lemon and oil, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. And you know, again, you can sort of taste the health as opposed to the shop. But the shop one is absolutely fine as well. You know, it's a time issue. I'm quite realistic as well about things.
Because chickpeas then, and whatever you put in it.
Yeah, and then you can maybe, if you want to whiz up a bit of avocado in it as well. It's just gorgeous. You can really, and garlic. And all those things. So but once you start looking into it, it's loads you can do. Have you got children? How many have you got?
I've got 2, 8-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Okay, it's time, isn't it? It's hard. But even, you know, as I say, just little changes.
Yeah, and they're probably better than I am actually, eating raw foods and stuff like that. Just because I've tried to encourage them to do it, whereas you kind of think, oh, I don't like that, so I want to eat it.
Yes,
but
yeah.
you're quite happy to give it to your children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a platter for the kids, a platter of raw veggies, and they'll sit and pick at it for ages.
Yeah.
They're both very good on veggies, though, aren't they? Just if
Veggies,
you dip
yeah.
them in things like hummus.
Yeah.
They're not as into that, but they are like for, you know, their packed lunches and everything, they're quite happy to take tomatoes or celery or cucumber or, you know, that kind of thing in. It's just...
It's always the bread with bread.
Yeah.
The sandwiches.
I know.
What do you give your children if they don't have bread, they don't have sandwiches?
They'll have a brown roll or something sometimes. Sometimes they have wraps, sometimes I make them soup, put it in a, you know, big fat flask. Sometimes I'll make them pasta to take with them if they've, you know, because they do eat that kind of stuff, but I will make sure that every day they have a big box full of chopped up veggies to go alongside that.
There's the time element as well, isn't it? It's like, you know, I obviously work in a hotel. I mean, there's nobody
Yes.
cooking vegetables for me. I leave the house at 6:30 to
Yeah.
come here
Yes.
to work out for
Yeah.
minutes or whatever. Then I go to work.
Yeah.
I leave work at 6:30
Yeah.
at night.
So do you eat at work?
I have a nice chef who always makes me porridge every morning,
Right.
which is, I'm sure is.
Oh, that's so, yes it is, yeah.
And then, you know, we put, you know, and sometimes we put a little bit of coulis, you know, fresh fruit coulis or something, or a bit of a face of fruit or something.
That's so lovely.
Lunch though, because they make staff lunch. We're obviously catering for many nationalities as well. So it could be something like a jacket potato, or it could be just belly pork casserole, or it could be anything.
Yeah.
So some days try and make your own food, but I mean, it'd be quite nice to have a salad and, you know, chopped vegetable sticks and things, but it'd be a case of actually having to do that myself before I left the house at 6.
It is,
yeah. And I'm one of those people, I don't like saying I haven't got time, because I have time for everything.
Yeah. Yeah, but in reality,
Because I get home, luckily my husband's at home most of the time, so he doesn't cook dinner, which is good, but then he wants, you know, if I start suggesting eat this sort of thing, I'll probably go.
I've got a really good friend who's a chef, and he was, it's a bit of a different situation, but he caters for sort of large weddings and stuff, and he had 5 guests who were raw vegans, and he was like, oh, what am I going to do? And he looked into it all, and he absolutely loved it, and he really got into what he made for them and made it absolutely beautiful. And, you know, maybe there's some way, if you were, for example, only going to do a smoothie, so let's say you just do a smoothie in the morning, before you leave, you've got to chop up your veggies to put in your smoothie anyway, so why not keep chopping them so that you can pop them in a, you know, Tupperware box.
Make a smoothie the night before, will it still be right next day, or does it separate?
Yeah, it's not nice, and it's, you need it fresh, really, just because, again, you're looking at, you want the best 100% nutrients from it, so it's better to have it made.
I mean, I sort of have a lot of people around for dinner, like,
Yeah.
if you were doing like a dinner party,
Yeah.
what would you do?
I will do something like a green Thai curry where there's tons of vegetables in it. It will be cooked food, but my plate will be more piled with veggies, and then there'll be rice on the side, and then they can have it, you know, however they want. If it's, you know, men and they want, you know, their plate full, as they do, and then I'll cook chicken and put chicken in theirs, or, you know, but I just try not to make a really big deal out of what I'm doing and what they're doing. We went to a friend's for a dinner party the other night.
It must be a nightmare to invite.
I know. Well, I just don't say, I just say I'm a vegetarian, because I don't want to cause grief for people, and, you know, they went to a huge amount of effort, and she knew, this particular one knew, so she did all this like lovely lettuce with loads of nuts and everything in for starter, and they were all kind of, you know, having a bit of a laugh about it, but they all tasted it and they just, it's delicious, this is gorgeous. And then her husband, who was the worst out of all of them, just going, can't you just eat a chili con carne, was, she did me this vegetarian chili, and it was just delicious. And he said the next day, he texted me saying, yours was nicer than ours. You know, and I just thought it, and, you know, and then because of that, now she's looking into it, and she's actually doing more things for them as a family into it. And that's what I was talking about, the escalating.
Sneaking things in, like, you know, not like with husbands and things.
Yes.
Making them things and they don't actually really notice.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Yes.
And it's got spices in it.
Well, but no, this is extreme. I am not extreme. I went to a lady's house recently who's been a raw foodist for 20 years, and she's just got her kitchen redone. It's absolutely beautiful. And I was walking around thinking, there's no oven. There was no oven. She doesn't own an oven. She had the whole kitchen done without an oven. I mean, I couldn't ever be that extreme, but...
Gosh, so she just eats raw food?
All day long. Grows it, seeds, sprouts. She's shaking her head. Like, no. No, it is. But she looks amazing. She's 50. She runs marathons. She hasn't got one grey hair on her head. She's got long blonde hair to here. And she looks stunning. You know. Well, no, that's a new thing. I have always drunk alcohol. And I haven't drunk. I haven't since New Year's Eve this year, just because I said, right, okay, I need to just be into this whole thing a bit more, but I'm never going to say never. And as long as I feel that I'm all right with that, it's fine. But we've got birthdays and 40ths and goodness knows what coming up, so I'm sure it will happen, but not in the quantity from the past.
Again, that's a social thing, isn't it? I mean, all my friends who I socialise with and have dinner parties,
Yeah.
you know, it is just
Yeah.
food, drink.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's-
Yeah. Yeah, it all goes hand in hand. Yeah, it is. But it's in moderation. And if you're having a really good time when you're out with those friends and you're having a real laugh, the harm that you're going to do from the alcohol is, you know, looking at it from the emotional point of view as well, and you've had a great night and you've had a real laugh and you've been with all your friends, just alcoholise the next morning. Just have a big fat smoothie. Just know the things that you can correct, and that's...
Things on this list, can you buy them? You know, would you have on the internet to buy those things? Spirulina and
Yes, I mean, yeah, you can buy chlorella spirulina from most good health shops.